Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Loreweek. I am, as ever, your host, the Lore Runner, who is attempting very hard to stay awake right now since... This is actually funny to me. So, some of you may not be aware that last week, about last Friday, actually, I ended up getting rather sick with a stomach bug, a very violent and unpleasant stomach bug. That was fun. I was still recovering from that when, this week happened, so my work cycle was a little bit different. And right about last Thursday, I had a pretty bad sore throat, which I am currently in the process of still recovering from. Now, someone memed last week that, oh, Lore, you're always sick, which is actually not true. That used to be true back when my immune system was terrible, but I have since recovered from that to the point where my immune system is not constantly on the verge of falling apart. So being sick 2 weeks in a row is actually pretty unusual for me. Hang on, it gets better. Obviously, I've been helping my sister with vines, and for those of you who haven't heard the news, we have actually reached, I don't know if you can see that, you can kind of see it. We have reached this, well, I'm not wearing gloves right now. We've reached the point where we have found poison ivy in the vines, and so those rashes have been causing me issues. Now, it's not as bad as it could be. I've been taking measures and all that, but the itching combined with the sore throat has made it difficult to sleep, so I'm a little bit behind on my sleep. But hang on, it gets even better. There's another layer to this. Because next Saturday I get my second Pfizer shot for the COVID vaccine. That's the one that gives you all the side effects. So, a week from yesterday, I will once again be feeling kind of sick. 3 weeks in a row. That's impressive. That feels coordinated. Oh my goodness. So anyways, that's my life. Real quick, thank you, Venters, as always. Prince of the Three Kingdoms 14. Way too long of a name. And thank you to Zara very, very much, as always. Much appreciated and obliged. And if you know where you want that to go, please let me know. I mean, it's possible I won't get any side effects from the second shot. Who knows? We'll see, is really what that boils down to. We shall see. And thank you, Blue of Alex, very much. I've put that towards Trails of the Sky, too. And thank you, Unicorn Scotch. I still think of it like being a unicorn that's like Scotch flavored. Or maybe there's just a bunch of Scotch tape on it. I've put that towards Pokemon Snap. And I'll put one of those Ciela subs, which I actually still have written down, towards Dishonored 1. I didn't have any side effects from the first jab. So, we'll see. We'll see, like I said. It's just, if that happens, that will literally be 3 weeks of getting sick at the same time in the week in a row, which is impressive in its own right. I'm hoping this Tuesday we will actually, really, be done with the ivy. At this point, all that's left is the subsurface layer. So I'm going to have to really, armor up, basically. I'm going to have pants, with socks over the pants, and I'm going to have long sleeve shirt with all that, and I'm going to have to really armor up and just dig and just rip up all the existing vines in order to remove the subsurface layer. But that's it. That's all that's left. However, I do know with 100% certainty that at least some of those vines are poison. So, yay. That's fun. We thought about a flamethrower. No, really, we looked into it. Unfortunately, it's not really as great of an option as it sounds. So, some of you are probably wondering what's going on with the Lorecraft series. Obviously, the Zangarmarsh episode just went live today. And hopefully you all are still liking that series, and if you're not, that sucks. If you're wondering, the So the videos that I currently have completely done, as in, ready to go, and I could just die and you still get them, are up to and through Wrath. So all of BC is done, all of Wrath is done. Wrath was a thing. But I've been working for the last week on Cataclysm. Now, Cataclysm is a whole different bag, because Cataclysm is basically all the old content redone. And so having to go through and decide what gets mentioned where and how to order things has been a huge creative challenge. I think I've got a good order going on. We're actually going to start with Gilneas and the Worgen, for example. But because of the whole sore throat thing and because of the whole still sick thing, I haven't actually been doing the voice acting for that bit. So what I've been doing instead is crafting the scripting. So, I do the outline of the zones and the story arcs, then I do the bullet points of the things I want to cover, then I do the first draft, second draft, and third draft, and the third draft is what I actually voice act into the mic, right? So I've been getting up to the point of being at the third draft on all of the Kata zones. Now, at this point, I am almost done. I was actually hoping to tell you I'm done with Cataclysm scripting. Not quite. I have 4 zones left. Loch Madon, which is nothing. That's going to be like a 2-minute episode. Wetlands, which is even smaller. Badlands, which is even smaller. And the Searing Gorge, which won't be large either. All of these are very small episodes. But I just didn't manage it. Like I said, having trouble sleeping, and I spent most of this morning working on the Dune Morrogue episode scripting, which, my god, there's so much to talk about there, because we have to talk about the gnomes and Gnomragon and what's going on with the Council of the Three Hammers and the Dark Irons. So that was this morning. But that's where I'm at. I am currently scripting Kata. Once I'm over Kata, I will have to start actually making the videos. I'll have to start recording footage, recording the audio bits, editing that all together, blah, blah, blah. That's going to take a while. Just going to be nice and upfront with y'all. That's going to be a nice, long thing. Once Kata's done, I will then have to start modern Kata, which I haven't even touched yet. That's Vashir, Uldum, Deepholm, Twilight Highlands, Mount Hyjal, the Infinite Dragonflight, and the Cataclysm, in that order. And so that will be, modern Kata. That'll probably be about a week-ish, assuming no issues. And from that point on, I anticipate taking about a week per expansion after that point. So right now we're in the slog. After we finish Kata, we'll get back to it. Once I finish Kata, we're probably about, I'd say about 4 weeks out-ish. Yeah, give or take, from being done, at which point we'll get back to regular streaming. So that's right, we're not yet at the point where we've got a month left. Some people have asked me why I decided to do this now. There's actually a lot of reasons. I mean, obviously this is a passion project, I mentioned that before. And Mr. Red is actually specifically the reason why I'm doing it right now. But no, the other reason is this is a conclusive project, by which I mean, let me phrase this a little bit differently. When it comes to sitting down and doing stuff, especially, personal stuff, there's 2 kinds of projects, right? There's ongoing, and then there's the kind of stuff that you can finish. Like the theater is something that can be finished. Once I have Raximus's lines, Chakong, right, we're done. It can be done and concluded and uploaded. Same with Undertale Theater, same with the Lorecraft series. Once I have reached Legion and concluded Legion, it's done. And it will be, and it's something that can be concluded, and I don't have to think about it anymore. And so that's part of the reason for going ahead and just, ripping the Band-Aid off and getting it all done now in one big bundle. Because A, I've got my mind geared into that type of thing, and B, that way this content will be good and ready to go for the next several months. I actually don't know how long it will go live, because it's something like 50 episodes or something like that, and that's before we get to Pandaria. No, we will not be covering BFA at all, or anything beyond that, for reasons I've already discussed. So, that's the main reason. Like, say, because, for example, one other thing I want to start doing on a regular basis is the Star Trek Rewrite Project. It hasn't been forgotten, but the Star Trek Rewrite Project is not a conclusive project. That is an ongoing project. The whole point of that is to have that as regular repeating content for the next several years, right? So, I wouldn't want to sit down and be like, all right, I'm going to take a few months to finish the... No, it doesn't work that way. That's also true. I also don't have to rely on other people for the Lorecraft series. The only reason it's been delayed at all is because I got sick 2 weeks in a row. Although even then I have been getting work done on it, so I guess it's not actually delayed, but you get my point. Anyways. Now, Don't worry, we definitely have Nintendo Switch Pro news. I heard a very conclusive and very believable rumor. Mr. Red himself told me this rumor. He said that he believes that any day now, any minute now, there's going to be an announcement about the Nintendo Switch Pro, which is going to have a 15K OLED screen and is actually going to have massagers built into the handles, which will constantly try to rip the money out of your wallet with a knife and fork. Thank you, Gold Tech. I'll put that towards Age of Mythology. Okay, in case you don't get the joke. This is... God. So, some of you may or may not be aware. Most of you are probably actually aware of this at this point. Yeah, every Switch Pro will have Mother 3 built into the hardware. Like, it's just there. And Star Fox and F-Zero. In case you're not aware of the joke. I trawl for news regularly. It's pretty much something I do as a daily basis, mostly for news that we discussed during Loreweek. And so, for the last 5 months, not an exaggeration, by the way, for the last 5 months, every week there's been at least one news story about the Nintendo Switch Pro and how there's a new rumor and how it'll be announced this coming week. Every week. Now, that's bad enough by its own right. However, for the last week and a half-ish, just a little under a week and a half, there has been a non-stop cavalcade of, there's totally the Switch Pro, guys, no, really. And just rumor mill, just... Like someone opened up a frickin' faucet and is just pouring Nintendo Switch rumors into my news feeds. And I want to stress plural. Like multiple... I want to say 2 days ago, I actually had 2 separate sites, which have nothing to do with each other, which were both reporting on completely separate and completely false Nintendo Switch Pro rumors. Guys, chillax. It'll come out when it comes out, or it won't come out. It'll never be a thing. Who knows? I mean, I've said before that I sympathize with people who have to make news happen because sometimes there's just no news to talk about. This week is a good example of that. But, Christ. Hang on, I gotta write down all this stuff that Mr. Red. So we got Miss Pac-Man, To Know by Heart. Is that already on the list? I don't even know what that is. Know by Heart. I'll put a question mark by that. Sphinx and the Cursed Mummy. No idea what that is. American Making Peas. Alice. Well, that's 10. And then finally, Thief 2. Thank you, Mr. Red. I do always and ever appreciate you, especially as I'm spending the overwhelming majority of my time constantly making Warcraft videos. Which nobody likes. I shouldn't say that. Although I will say, so far the response has been pretty much exactly what I expected from the Lorecraft series. Which is, it's okay, it just sucks. You know, reasonably positive, but nobody's really paying attention. The viewing figures in the Lorecraft series are minuscule. And that's to be expected. I already assumed, yes I did, Zach. I already assumed, although it wasn't your sub, it was Ciela's sub, but yes I did. That nobody would really care, and that nobody would really pay attention to it, and that's exactly what's happened. So, what can you do? Thank you, Eclectico, very much. I've put that towards Akami. And thank you, Spartan J42. I've put that towards Halo Wars 2. Okay. Second half of 2021. So in December, I do have some actual news for this week. Only a few little tidbits. So first of all, someone actually asked about this earlier. Amazon decided to eat MGM. This is even more movement towards Amazon being a movie and show label. I don't suppose you've noticed that. That's something that Amazon has been pushing hard for the better part of the last 5 years now. Now, this is interesting. Everyone involved on both Amazon and MGM's side have all said the same thing. They're mainly doing this to procure the IPs. That's the main thing they want, is to have access to those IPs, so they don't have to license anything. They just want to go and actually make shows and make movies. So I'm not sure what I think of that. Yeah, I know, Funfall Machine. And Games Workshop has announced a service that we don't know anything about. There you go. Okay, done. Yeah, Amazon ate the lion. This is one of those weird ones, because on the one hand, Amazon Prime having access to more MGM movies is something that I would consider to be a good thing, speaking as someone who has Amazon Prime. But the real question is whether or not they actually are going to make anything with those IPs. Now, I will freely admit I don't watch Amazon originals. I mean, I've watched Grand Tour. I think that's it. So, that's all I got. So I don't know if they're any good, is really my point here. I don't know if they're doing well. I don't know if they're doing badly. I don't know if they're one of those companies that has been doing some decent stuff with regards to it. All I know is that they are making lots of shows and lots of their own little movies. Not full theatrical productions, but instead movies that are released just on Amazon. So I don't have the information I need to really gauge how good of a thing this is or not. That being said, it does look like one of the things Amazon's been really pushing for from every result I've been reading from their shareholder meetings is they really want to be a direct competitor to Netflix. Now, that feels like the wrong move to me, personally. But at the same time, shrug? So I suppose we'll see. I mean, that's unfortunately where we're at. We'll see. Lord knows Amazon is sitting on entirely too much money. Maybe they should go ahead and try to turn some of that around into taking care of their employees better. But, you know. So they released a trailer for the Eternals. It looks generic as hell. If I'm being blunt. I mean, I know. I shouldn't actually comment on trailers because, as we've discussed many times on this very show, trailers are dumb. But, wow, that looks generic. Really? Really generic. That being said, one of the things I'm curious about, you know, the big question that everyone's been asking is, what the heck have the Eternals been doing? Even in the trailer, we have stayed distant and we have decided not to get involved until now. And it's like, okay, why now? I mean, we could argue whether or not, you know, the Chitauri attack was relevant, or the Dark Elves wanting to erase the universe was enough for them to deal with that. We could argue about all that, but I mean, honestly, if nothing else, Thanos' invasion probably should have prompted the Eternals to get off their lazy asses and do something. I look forward to seeing exactly how they're going to excuse that. Now, that being said, there is one other thing that kind of caught my attention. Here's an interesting creative conundrum for you. You are in charge of implementing the X-Men into the MCU. How do you do it? Now, you're probably thinking, that seems like such a simple and easy question. Eric Lehenscher, aka Magneto. If you don't get the point, allow me to elaborate. Magneto is a Holocaust survivor. It is integral to his character. It is core-centric, bone marrow to his character. So, he's just one example of this. Obviously, there's actually quite a few examples, but he's the biggest and most obvious one I can aim for. So if you're going to have Magneto, either you're running into a problem immediately. If the mutants are things that just kind of start happening in modern times, you're going to have to explain what the heck was going on prior to now. If the mutants have always been here, you have to explain why they haven't been seen or heard or anything whatsoever up until now. No matter how you slice it, you have a problem with integration. Right? And again, Magneto's just one example of this. There are quite a few X-Men. There's quite a few mutants who have been very relevant to human history for quite a bit of human history in ways that you can't just divorce from the characters. So, how do you do it? And I feel like, the reason I'm bringing this up here is I feel like this problem with the Eternals is kind of related to that. You know, it's like, oh, we've decided to get involved now. What? No. We will see. It's not like I don't have faith in the MCU, but at the same time, I mean, I haven't actually gotten to see the new shows, so I have no idea if they're any good or not, obviously. And we haven't had a movie since the Spider-Man one. In fact, I think we're still waiting on the Black Widow movie, aren't we? Didn't that got delayed again just last week? Hang on. Hang on. I feel like it got delayed again. Yeah, it's July now. So yeah, we haven't actually had an MCU movie in a bit. Over a year. We'll see. Yeah, I know Loki's the next big one. When's Loki coming out? Show. There it is. Release date? Oh, there it is, June. Oh, that's like in a week and a half here, isn't it? Yep, that is a week from Wednesday is when Loki starts coming out. I mean, yeah, no, I've seen what they've been doing with the shows. They've been throwing movie equipment and movie personnel as well as movie budgets at the shows. And if I might be blunt, I think that's the right move. Disney is not exactly the first group to do that. HBO. But, I mean, it worked for HBO and it's been working for Disney. It is a good idea. It is a proof positive. You know, at this point, it's not a theory anymore. So, I think I'm with it. I'm down. Yes, that's true. We do have the Avengers game to hold us over. We're good, guys. Anyways. Was there anything else? But no, I guess not. So, okay, that's the Eternals. Right, so here's where I mentioned the Warhammer and Ubisoft are both coming out with a subscribers plan. What's with all the subscribers plans lately? And I know what you're thinking, Lore, don't be dumb and stupid, and you're right, I'm sorry. But I bring this up because it's one of those really weird things where, like, it makes sense, except how it's implemented, right? I mean, it's, hey, just go ahead and subscribe to this, and you'll become a member. You pay a little bit of a monthly thing, that'll get you rewards. The longer you're subscribed, the more bonuses you get, the better rewards you get. It's almost entirely, cosmetic stuff, of course, but still. I just... thank you, Von Falkenstein. And yeah, I mean, it's the dream, right? I'm not actually joking about that. It's the dream. People want to rip money out of your wallets continuously. They don't want a singular sale. Because... Oh, that was Diesel Edge? What? Oh, I'm sorry. On my screen, your message was right next to it, so I just saw, Von Falkenstein. Sorry. Diesel Edge? You don't get a thank you, Diesel Edge. That's just where that's at. No, thank you very, very much, Diesel Edge. And welcome to the 3-year club. I don't suppose you know where you want that anniversary to go towards. I don't know, maybe I'm just old and tired and sick of scummy practices, but I look at this crap and I want to slug somebody really hard. Let me explain this for a moment. The idea is really simple. Okay. I could tell S.A. Ross... Bam! There we go. He's dead. I didn't... What did you donate, SRS? I didn't see anything. I might have missed it. It's entirely possible. I am very stupid today. Nope, there's nothing. Okay. So, I could sell you an apple, and I could make money off of the sale of that apple. I could sell you a shoe shining service, and make money off of that transaction. So there you go. There is a product, and there's a service that I charge you for, and you pay for. Done, right? Thank you, H. Markley. For reasons that I can only describe being greedy, and I mean this with total sincerity, there is a very strong tendency, and has been for about 40 years now, give or take, towards trying to drift away from that, and instead wanting to charge you for joining the Apple Club. You pay a subscription service, and every month you go ahead and you pay for an apple, or you pay for a portion of an apple. And if you keep up with it every third month, I'll throw in an extra apple for free. Now, and you see why I'm kind of winding the drain on this one, because on the one hand, it makes a degree of sense. It's, if you regularly utilize the service or procure the product, it's actually worth it to you because it's actually cheaper to do so. But this is then drastically stretched and abused by corporations and companies in order to try and ensure that you prefer the subscription service and they give you as little as possible in exchange for said service. And of course, someone in chat, I forget who, mentioned there's obviously the idea that some people forget to unsubscribe regularly. I bet there's at least one person, you don't have to out yourself, but I bet there's at least one person in chat who has ever been like, oh, I forgot I was subscribed to such and such, and just kind of lets it keep running. That's actually built into some of the sales projections for a lot of these services. That is not a joke. Thank you, H. Markley. Ever and always appreciate. And welcome to the Year Club. If you happen to know where you want to put that anniversary, please let me know. I guess my overall point is that it's one of those aggravating things where the idea is sound and the implementation pisses me off. You know? I don't have a better way to phrase that. Because on the surface of it, the idea makes perfect sense. Like I said, right? If you go and buy apples every week, then subscribing to an Apple service where they just send you apples regularly makes perfect sense. It saves you time and effort and energy, and you just keep getting the apples. But you can see how much this is being utilized to prey on people to the point of ridiculousness, especially since every company wants you to subscribe to their service. And so we get to the point where instead of the one Apple seller having his Apple service, we've got 8 separate Apple vendors, all of whom are selling apples, different kinds of apples, but still apples. And every single one of those vendors wants you to subscribe to their Apple service. Now, I know that there's a company called Apple that's hideous and evil, and I swear I didn't mean to make that comparison. Really, I didn't. I was just thinking of a fruit off the top of my head. We can call it oranges if you prefer. I'm just want to be clear. I'm not making any digs at Apple. I don't need an excuse to make a dig at Apple, the company. If you want different kind of apples, well, I mean, we don't sell those. They do. I'm sorry. This is basically just a financial rant at this point. I apologize. I didn't mean to get that much off topic. It's just... Why? Okay. Whatever. Let's get to something more positive. We had 2 announcement things. I do like apples. Apples are great. 2 announcement things. First was Dragon Quest related, and second was Sonic related. Let's do the Sonic thing first, because let's be honest, there's less to talk about. So, first of all, Sonic Colors is getting a modern port. Woo! It's not coming out on PC. It's coming out of the Epic Store. It's coming out at some point in the future, and it's probably just a port instead of being, you know, an actual remaster or remake. Shrug. Then we have Sonic Origins, which is consisting of Sonic 1, 2, 3, Knuckles, and CD, which is coming out next year. And then they've also announced that there's a new Sonic game that they're making, which we know nothing about, which is also coming out next year. Now, wow, not close. Now, I should mention something here. This is, how many of you have ever heard of Sonic 06? How many of you have played Sonic 06? I'll raise my hand on that one. How many of you remember when Sonic 06 was announced? This is the big one. Yeah, I'd be fine with a port, Blue with Alex, but again, we don't know because this is... Here's the big announcement. There's no announcements. We're doing something with Sonic Colors. That's the announcement. That's a good question, Rex. So, the reason I bring up Sonic 06 is because when Sonic 06 was announced, they had this big fancy CGI trailer which showed zero gameplay and featured a lot of really close-ups, and then there was the slow motion thing, and it's basically the same as the trailer. I'm saying I'm being too facetious. Let me be more clear. The style and approach of the Sonic 06 announcement trailer is very similar to the announcement trailer for the new Sonic game that we got last week. Now, that may or may not mean anything. It is irritating to try and sell a Sonic game by a CGI trailer which tells and shows nothing. And that's just that's not exclusive to Sega. But I bring it up because it was literally my very first thought. Oh, it's Sonic 06 again. For those of you unaware of the behind the scenes of Sonic 06, the specific reason they had just a CGI trailer for that announcement is because that was all they had. They didn't have gameplay to show off at the time. So they couldn't. By the way, if you ever want to research something, just an absolute train wreck of a game development process, research Sonic 06. Just... They didn't even patch. They had a patch that improved the game, and they didn't even release it. Anyways, so... it's just... Thank you, Loner. Very, 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 very much appreciate, as always. You gotta give me a minute. I gotta write that little down here. I don't think you actually do, Mr. Red. That's the problem. There are some games that are fun to meme on, and then there's some games that are just boring and bad, and Sonic 06 is just boring and bad. Yes, the Sonic 06 demo was literally more functional than the final game because it had the patch that didn't go in the final game that I just mentioned. Think about that for a second. I assume you mean Diablo 1, Loner? You want to see me speedrun 06? That'll be $23 million. You got it, Loner. But there's a whole reason. I'm not going to go into it right now. There's all sorts of reasons why the Sonic 06 thing just went to hell. The summary is that the console developers, or excuse me, the console companies actually charge for releasing patches, or at least they used to. I don't know if they do anymore. So... Sonic 06 does have a good soundtrack. I will never argue against that. I will argue against Emperor Valerian, but that's just a Tuesday at that point. Dealer's choice is still a thing. It's actually more of a thing than it used to be. But not until I come back to regular streaming, obviously. Thank you, Emperor Valerian. Always and ever. Much obliged. I do hope your internet does get sorted out before December. Because holy crap. Excuse me. Like I said, I'm still kind of recovering from everything. So that's the Sonic news, if you can call it that. I'm not actually going to answer that, Loner, because the problem right now is good luck getting one. Rax might be able to answer you in more detail as far as the specifics. Dragon Quest. Let's start with the stuff that and I don't mean this to be unkind, don't care about. So there's a puzzle game coming out. There's a treasure game coming out. And there's something they're doing with Dragon Quest X. There's a patch coming out with Dragon Quest X. That's cool. That's cool. And I think that's it for the don't cares. Yeah, that's it for the don't cares. So let's cover the cares now. First of all, Dragon Quest X is getting a demake FF15 style. Now, we still don't know all the details about this, unfortunately, but it does look like it's going to be built and designed by Sakage, specifically, in order to try and put money towards Halo Wars 2. And thank you, Sakage. Built to be a completely offline version of the MMO in kind of a truncated format. Again, it's a demake, right? I'm actually 100% in favor of this. I think that this is a kind of thing that has more of a market than people probably think. I imagine if they released a single-player version of WoW or FF14 or Elder Scrolls Online or whatever in, kind of a truncated, demade format, I think that would sell. Now, I don't know that. I don't have information on that because I don't have the knowledge of the universe. But that is my theory on the matter. We will see if anything about this goes forward, but for now, we don't even know if Dragon Quest X Offline is even coming out outside of Japan. So that's just kind of in the we'll see territory. Then we have Dragon Quest XII, which was announced. That's it. That's not true. There's two... I hate it when people do this. I know you're tired of me saying it, so I'm just going to rehash this point really quick. See you around, Michael. I hate it when they announce something way too far in advance and have no information about it. I just complained about this with Sonic. So we know that there's a Dragon Quest XII, that they're working on it. We know it's subtitled, which I don't even remember right now, something about Fire Emblem. And that it's going to be more focused on adult topics and conversations. It's going to be more aimed towards adults. Which proves that whoever said that has never played a Dragon Quest game before. As we discussed when we were going through 1 through 3, Dragon Quest 3... Actually, Dragon Quest 2, excuse me, is officially when the Dragon Quest effect became a thing, and the games officially became very dark, very serious, mature storytelling. So, yeah, no, I agree, Eclectic. Some marketing person decided to write that. So I have decided to kind of mentally eject that from my own reasoning on the matter. Hit refresh, Saldir. Sometimes that makes it pop up. Yeah, actually, it's funny you mention Elder Scrolls 6 because I specifically have Elder Scrolls 6 written down here as well. Because, you remember when Elder Scrolls 6 was announced? Years ago? Years. Plural. Do you know how much information has come out about Elder Scrolls 6 since then? Oh my god. Thank you, Lanowin. As always, appreciate it. I will put that towards Dragon Quest VIII. And thank you, Saldir. Oh, that's terrible, Loner. That's awful. Yeah, that's true. Elder Scrolls 6 was announced the same day they announced Fallout 76. That was before Fallout 76 came out. Just to really hammer that in. To really emphasize that point. Yeah, Elder Scrolls 6 also is after Starfield, which we also haven't learned anything about, by the way. While we're on the subject. So ultimately, all I can say about Dragon Quest XII is absolutely nothing. They showed us a logo, a subtitle, and a marketing spiel. So I'm going to mentally forget the game even exists until we have something more concrete. Speaking of something more concrete, let's talk about Dragon Quest III. Now, I know that I am the only person in the world who doesn't like the visual style of Octopath Traveler, but I absolutely despise the visual style of Octopath Traveler. And it's not because of the voxel approach, it's not because of the pseudo 3D storybook kind of looking thing going on. It's not any of that. That's not the problem. By the way, Saldir, what do you want that to go towards? I hope you've been liking it, Venetia. And thank you. I'll put that towards Shadowlands. Yeah, the blur is by a huge margin the biggest problem I have with it. It is unironically, unexaggeratingly, literally headache-inducing. But even just the excessive amount of bloom and the way they do the lighting effects and just the whole thing looks awful. And what's really funny, some of you may or may not be aware of this. You got it, Saldir. Some of you may not be aware of this. Octopath Traveler has since come out on PC. Why is that relevant? Well, on PC, it's an Unreal 4, I think, engine game, right? That's what they built Octopath in. Unreal just has console commands. Like, you can just change and set those things pretty easily. And so people have actually gone in and just straight up disabled a lot of those visual features of Octopath Traveler. And what do you know? It looks so much better without all that garbage layered on top of it. A little bit of both, Venetia. Anyways, this brings me to Dragon Quest III. Sorry, let's get back to Dragon Quest here for a second. So Dragon Quest III is being done, near as I can tell, in the exact same style with the same engine. Now, the bloom still seems just as bad as ever, as well as the lighting effects. The blur has been toned down a little bit from what I have seen. I actually rewatched the video a couple times just to double check, because one of the worst examples of it in Octopath was in any area where you went vertically, like towards or away from the camera. That's when the blur really got bad. And there was one sequence in Dragon Quest III where they were going towards a castle where it wasn't too bad. So we'll see. Most people are absolutely exploding about this because everyone loves the Octopath Traveler graphic style, and that's probably exactly why they're pursuing this for these kind of a remake. Which, it does make sense. If a lot of people love it, there's a plenty of reason to go ahead and do that. Frankly, I would be a lot more in favor of that if they just added those graphical options, which I remind you are toggleable options in the engine, and just added those into the graphics menu, right? Just put it... It is literally a button. Anyways. A lot more in favor of that, but whatever. But they are remaking Dragon Quest III. It makes perfect sense that they would remake Dragon Quest III first in this style. So for those of you not aware, Dragon Quest 4, 5, 6, and 7 have all already gotten proper remakes. And they're all good proper remakes. I highly recommend all of them. But they've never really touched 1 through 3. And before you bring it up, yes, I know there's the SNES version. Yes, I know there's the Game Boy Color version, both of which got effectively ported to the modern Switch versions. But frankly, I wouldn't call any of those proper remakes. Those are remasters. This appears to be an attempt to truly make a proper remake of one of the old ones. No, effing Craig, no. Good morning, Zachariah. So, I don't know if I'm saying. It makes sense that they would go with 3 first. 3 is the darling. I talked about that while we were covering Dragon Quest 3. That's the big one. That's the most venerated and beloved and super huge in Japan. It'll be interesting to see how it actually turns out and how much they change. If you remember, I was somewhat unkind towards that game, and I don't feel bad about that when I was reviewing it. But, I mean, it depends on what they change. After all, Dragon Quest 4 and 5 and 6 and 7, their proper remakes substantially improved huge swaths of the game. So we'll see. Now, that being said, someone asked who's making it. I don't actually know. I wasn't able to suss out all this information. I felt really bad for the woman who was translating the announcement trailer thing, by the way, because, good lord, she just could not keep up with it. Only if I could turn off that damn blur, Alex. Like, in all in total sincerity, if I couldn't turn off the blur, I'll take the Steam graphics. Because at least the Steam graphics just look awful and don't cause me literal physical pain, you know? This is the Skyward Sword thing all over again. Ugh. So we'll see. Unfortunately, as is per usual for these kind of announcement streams, we didn't really get anything of any real substance. I have a very strong feeling that a lot of development studios, especially in Japan, are the kind of people who were really smacked across the knees by COVID, and as a direct consequence have been just kind of struggling, you know? It's like, oh god, we gotta put out something. It's the anniversary. We gotta do something. Well, what are we working on right now? Quick, throw together a couple of screenshots and a quick video. Okay, there. Like, that's the vibe I got. And I don't mean that in a negative sense, per se. I really don't. It's just, I very much get the vibe that people are still on the back foot and are still recovering, and they wanted to put out something, so they put out something. And that's exactly what we got in this last week for Sega and for Dragon Quest both, is something. No, Venetia, the Transformers movies have never bothered me that much. Not like, say, the Bourne movies. Now, the Bourne movies, I've gotten nauseous at that one. That's all I've got for news this week. Like I said, it was a bit of a slow news week. But before